Coming up, we have stories about I'm the better chef boyfriend, ruined vacations, cheating exes at the wedding, secrets kept from parents about child, left out step parent, parents choosing vacation over child, and a wife who isn't okay with just anything. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one comes from AITA and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Cook for My Boyfriend Anymore Because He Always Fixes My Meals? I, 32 female, have been with my boyfriend, 34 male, for about a year now. We've moved in together recently, and while everything has been great, there's one thing that's really starting to bother me. Every time I cook, he insists on fixing my meals. To clarify, I'm a pretty good cook. I'm no professional chef, but I know my way around the kitchen, and my friends and family have always enjoyed my cooking. However, my boyfriend has this habit of hovering around while I'm cooking, tasting everything, and then adding extra spices, salts, or other ingredients without asking. Without asking? Can you imagine if I did this to you? Can you imagine if you came to the grill while I was grilling and just started throwing shit on there? Yeah, you know how to approach it. Sometimes he even goes as far as changing the whole dish by adding things like hot sauce or extra cheese, completely altering the flavor. At first, I just let it go, but after months of this, it's driving me nuts. I put effort into making meals, and he always feels the need to tweak them. It makes me feel like my cooking isn't good enough for him. Last night, I made dinner and told him straight up that I don't want him to fix it this time. He did anyway, dumping extra seasoning into the pot while my back was turned. I got so frustrated that I told him if he doesn't like the way I cook, he can make his own meals from now on. He thinks I'm overreacting and that it's not a big deal. He even accused me of being controlling about food. Oh, pot, meat, kettle. Oh.
The definition of gaslight.
That is a gaslit stove you've been working on, right? I, on the other hand, feel disrespected because I've asked him multiple times to stop. So, am I the astronaut for refusing to cook for him anymore after he keeps altering my meals? No. NTA. We got one right, crew. Heck yes. NTA. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. I'm NTA here. If you're different, let me know. However, yes, the projection here, the gaslighting here. So hearing it's not a big deal. You're overreacting. Those are the first two strikes because those are the first two plays, right? You're crazy. Like, look, you're being controlling about food. Nah. He knows it's wrong because even when you asked him to stop, he did it behind your back. It's compulsion for him. He can't control it. Why is my question? And maybe it's because I'm in a season of life where I'm questioning everything. But why does he feel the compulsion to do this? That would be my question here, OP. You are right. It is absolutely disrespectful. It is absolutely not okay, especially it's still happening after you've created a boundary and said, do not do this. Now, it's not really a boundary. You made a request. A boundary is something that has consequences. Now, him doing it after you said not to, you said if he doesn't like the way you cook, he can make his own meals from now on. So that's kind of creating a boundary after the fact. I think you need to stick to that now and be like, no. If you are going to add shit, I am not cooking. That is the deal. Let him cook for a little while. And when he's cooking for a little while, go in there and start it up on purpose, like he does, and show him what it feels like to have a plan, to be executing that plan, and to have someone come in and just like stomp on it and throw mud all over your plan. Let him feel what that feels like if he can't understand this. So there's that side of it. The other side of it is, why the does he do this? Why does he feel the need to do this? Maybe he grew up in an environment where dad did this to his mom and that was okay. But you guys are just now living together. And I feel like it's very, very, very important in 2024 to live together for probably a solid year before you marry somebody. There are so many idiosyncrasies that you don't know until you're there living with each other that might drive you crazy or might be deal breakers, or like this, you'll discover about somebody that would drive you crazy and would be, seemingly a small event, but on repetition could grow into a big enough deal to ruin a marriage, right? So Learning about these things up front is good. I'm glad that you guys are doing this before getting married because that would be dangerous. But why? I would want to have a conversation with him and be like, why do you feel like that's okay? Like, did your parents do that? Did in the house that you lived in before with your broskies, was that like a thing that was okay? And then explain to him the rules of your kitchen, your relationship. And if you are going to be the cook, that shit's not going to fly. And create some kind of consequence for crossing that boundary. You've already introduced it, but just say, hey, look, this is how it's going to go. I will cook, but the instant that you cross my boundary, I will not cook again for a week. You're going to have to cook. You're going to have to cook for everything for the next week. Something has to be serious here. But it's a compulsion for him because not only is he gaslighting you into the whole, it's not a big deal territory here, which sucks for him. He gets this, by the way. Purely for his responses, he gets this. Also, it's like he's turning everything into frat food. And it's like adding hot sauce and cheese to everything. Bro, it's time to eat like a big boy. Come on now. Let her make a grown-up meal. It'll be okay. But I would dive into it, try to figure out why. And it may be easier to untangle that mess, whatever makes him feel like he wants to do that, once you understand the why side of it. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from AITA and is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Ruining My Friend's Vacation? I love how people put the quotation marks in here now. I, female 38, just got back from a vacation with two of my longtime friends, Kate, female 40, and Mary, female 38. I've known both of them since university, and we've always been close. The three of us had been planning this Bali trip for a few months, along with our husbands and their kids. They both have children under 5, while my husband, Jake, male 45, and I are child-free. We agreed to split the cost of a 4-bedroom villa 3 ways, and everything seemed fine at first. Jake and I arrived in Bali earlier than the rest of the group because we had different flights. Once we got to the villa, we waited to choose rooms with our friends and didn't mind when they both chose the ones with en-suites. En-suites? How do you say that? What's the bougie way to say that? Is it an en-suite or an in-suite? An en-suite. Once we got to the villa, we waited to choose rooms with our friends and didn't mind when they both chose the ones with the en-suites. We had a great time during the trip. Jake and I did some couples activities, massages, hiking, and dinners, but we also spent time with Kate and Mary and their families whenever it worked for everyone. To be nice, I even surprised them with massages to give them a break. The only thing that made me uncomfortable was that whenever I ordered a drink, a cocktail before dinner or a glass of wine with meals, I'd get comments like, "Oh, you're drinking again." For context, I'm a social drinker and don't drink often, but we're on vacation, and I didn't think it was a big deal, especially since our husbands were drinking too. I just ignored the comments so I could enjoy the trip. Oh, those are jealousy comments. 100% jealousy comments. Those are like, oh, you don't have kids, so you can drink whenever you want. You, bitch. Oh, you're drinking again. On the last night, Jake and I made plans with the guys to go out, and Kate and Mary said that they were staying in to pack. Jake convinced me to join him, and since it was the last night of our vacation, I didn't want to stay in either. We went out and had a great time. We arrived home at 1 a.m. and I passed out straight after. The next morning was a bit chaotic with everyone packing and checking out, but we all made it back home without issue. We had booked business class seats back, so we were separated during the flight and said quick goodbyes at the airport. A week after returning home, I got a long text from Kate saying that both she and Mary wanted to reduce contact with me because I had ruined their vacation. They mentioned several things like my drinking every night, that I wasn't acting like a girl's girl, that I booked different flights, didn't hang out with them enough, and that I was selfish for not helping with their kids. Oh, the truth comes to the surface. She even said I was just focused on partying and not acting my age. This message really hurt me. I cried after reading it, and I honestly don't know what to think. I thought I was just enjoying my vacation, but clearly they had a very different view. I haven't responded yet, and my husband has been asking what's bothering me, but I don't know what to say. Am I the astronaut for how I acted during the trip? Nope. No, you are not the asshole here. You have to understand why they feel the way that they feel. Not that the way they feel is right. It's not. But it's easy to see how they can get there. They are so jealous of not being able to do what you're doing, and you not sacrificing your time to take care of their kids so they can do what you were doing. And a lot of people will take their kids on vacation where they know other people, specifically child-free people like grandparents or that kind of, who aren't child-free, but young child-free. They will just assume that the plan is for them to shove their kids off to the childless people and they go have a party great time. That's what they thought was going to happen. And instead of having a conversation with you and being like, hey, do you think that maybe you guys could watch our kids tonight and the parents could go do something just to have one break from the kids? And you probably would have been like, oh, hell yeah, sure, cool, do your thing. And then this wouldn't have been an issue at all. None of this would have been an issue. If they had asked that one time and you had stayed in to watch their kids one night happily, none of this would be an issue at all. But instead, they decided to cowardly keep it to themselves, bicker between each other, and a week after their vacation is over, be like, we've been stewing about this for a long time. We've had several meetings. And here is where we are at. We are reducing contact with you because you had fun on vacation and we weren't able to. And we think that's your fault. Bye. I'm sorry. If the kind of friendship that we have is the kind of friendship where you blame me for everything that doesn't go right for you, there's a lot of risk in being your friend. Unless you live a perfect life. According to you, that's not very friendly. Candy Thunder here, which means those friends were just talking shit upon shit upon shit about this woman behind her back. And the whole you're drinking again thing was just, I want to drink, but I can't because I've got these little humans that I have to take care of. Boo you. Number one, I mean, neither Candy Thunder and I drink, so we're not like against it. We just don't. I didn't even drink at the Chiefs game. Drank water, a lot of water. I did. I had some chocolate. But like, you can have fun on vacation with your kids without drinking. Number one, I'm sure the presence of it and having to see it hurt for them. Okay, let's talk about that too, right? So they wanted to do this thing so bad and they couldn't because they had their kids. And normally if they were on a vacation, that wouldn't be a big deal because they wouldn't be seeing it all the time and thinking about it. But you were having a great time and social drinking, the thing they wanted to do, and they had to see it because it was right in front of their face. That's why they got so salty about it. Like, thanks for reminding us that we can't do fun things. Bitch. None of this is your fault. Here's the edit. Edit! Thank you, Reddit, for your kind words and support. Reading through the responses and seeing how many of you are upset on my behalf has made me reflect on how I initially planned to handle things. I was going to apologize, thinking it might be the easiest way to keep the peace, but now I realize that might not be the right approach after all. I also have shown my husband, Jake, timeout, thank you. One of the things I meant to say was, show this conversation to your husband and tell him what's going on. Like, there's no reason to fight this yourself. I also showed my husband, Jake, this post and the text message. He told me to thank you for looking out for me. He's actually pretty angry on my behalf about the text message. I showed him some of the comments that gave me insight on how my friends may have been feeling, which has given us both a lot to think about. He asked me what I wanted to do next and if I wanted him to answer my friends for me. While I appreciated the offer, I told him I'm still thinking it over. He reassured me that he's here for me no matter what, and if I decide I do want him to step in, he'd be ready to say something on my behalf. For now, I'm going to sleep on it and take some time before I respond or don't respond to the text message. If I do, I'll post an update. Again, thank you all for helping me see things a little bit more clearly. I feel less alone now. Okay, top comments here and some more feedback down below, but let's just take a time out to applaud Redditors for giving this woman some validation and being like, yeah, no, you're not crazy. That's bullshit. So let's dive into comments here too. Hubby, green flag for you, brother. Thank you so much for being ready to ride at dawn for your lady here, and recognizing when it's actual bullshit. And Candy Thunder and I were having this conversation earlier. I think when you have somebody that's really in your corner, that partner is also able to call you on your bullshit, so that when something like this happens, you know, it's like, it's not somebody that just agrees with me every time. Like, this is bullshit, and they're ready to ride at dawn. Thank you. The Drewish guy. Thanks for the love, man. Appreciate that. All right, let's dive into top comments here. Top comment, NTA. They're just jealous and expect you to lighten their childcare load. Just because they have kids doesn't mean if you go on holiday with them, you must stay and look after the children just because you're a woman. Oh, God. Did they just assume that's what's going to happen? Like, you were supposed to jump in and volunteer without them asking? They need to tell this bull to their husbands as well, because there sure is a double standard there. Partying? They must be joking. You go on holiday to enjoy things, food, beverage, and experiences. Really good point by this commenter. Their husbands. Their husbands went out and partied. Their husbands went out and partied. So it's your fault? Okay. Honestly, they're jealous because they feel they can't have a drink before dinner because of kids and responsibilities, and because of this, it makes them resent you for doing it. They're just expecting you to be grown up like them, even though that's a completely unrealistic expectation. They probably can't even admit it to themselves. They need a reality check, but they probably won't hear it from you. I'd say my piece as to why I disagree with what they've said, and then just back right off the friendship. If they're good friends, they will try to make amends. If not, you're probably no longer compatible, which sucks, but you might be better off. OP, you are absolutely right. I was planning on apologizing, but I'm actually pretty hurt by what they said. I'm probably not going to do that now. Comment, good. They literally expected more from you than their husbands when it came to childcare. They're mad at you for doing what their husbands did. The difference is that you don't have kids and their husbands do. So if anybody should have held back on drinking, it was their husbands. Their husbands should have shared the load, not you. Wholly internalized misogyny. Them not even having a problem with your husband going out, and also the "you're not a girl's girl" comment was you went out and partied with the boys. Like, we are a united front. We are mothers. Stick with this together. But you're not a mom. You don't have to do those jobs. Again, if they had been upfront and clear in their communication and been like, hey, what would you think about this? Would you be willing to do this? You probably would have been like, hell yeah. At the very least, even if you weren't willing to do it, you would have understood the context of what they were feeling. Instead, they said nothing, waited, and then cowardly sent you a text message to bitch slap you for having a good time because they felt like they couldn't. Shame on them. Shame on them for, number one, feeling like they couldn't have a good time. If you have to have booze and partying away from your kids to have fun, there's a problem. Everybody needs a break. Don't get me wrong. Everybody needs to let loose. Everybody needs a break. But it's on us as parents to plan that break. It's on us to ask other people and coordinate that break. It's not on other people to jump in and volunteer to lighten our load so we can go have a good time. I'm sorry, the world doesn't give a shit. It doesn't work like that. You have to take the effort to do it. You have to. You have thoughts on this, Candy Thunder? Here she is, ladies and gents.
I got told that I had internalized misogyny because I said that I don't like the games that women play. And this is the game that I'm talking about. Not speaking up when there's a problem, taking out your frustration that should be directed at your husband onto another friend. Like, your husband is the one you chose to have a kid with, not this woman, not your friend. Your husband is the one that is there to help you parent. And so the girl's girl thing, like, it pisses me the off. I'm a person's person. Like, I'm a good, like, be a good person and I'm your friend for life. Treat me like shit and we're done. And it took me so long to get there and to understand, like, all of this bullshit. But I will not engage with this. If somebody had sent me this message, those people would no longer be in my life. And I would tell them why they are no longer allowed to be a part of my life. Don't shame me because I chose not to have kids and you did. You made that choice with your husband to bring children into this world. That is your job. Like, buck up and do your job, or ask your husband to let you go out with your friend and do that. Like, but you do not get to blame somebody who chose not to have kids because you chose to have kids. And the girl's girl thing just makes me mad because it's like, no, we're all people. We want to be equal people. So, like, let's be equal, decent human beings and not shitty people who blame other people for their problems. That's all I have to say.
Candy Thunder.
Oh yeah, and there you go. She bought massages for them. Like, what else do you want from this friend? Do you want her to be your nanny? Like, come on. Like, she bought you a couple's massage so that you could have time, and I assume watched your kids during this time. Like, what? But that's not enough. Take that text message, put it in a group chat, and call out her husbands. Ooh. Because that's what I would do and be like, you guys need to handle this. This is your kids, your problem. I am your friend. Like, I purchased these massages for you. I did all of these things. And if you can't see that, speak to your husband. And that's what I would do. I would never put up with this bullshit, and I would not be friends with these people. 150%. Yeah.
Screenshots in a group chat would be awesome. Be like, it sounds like y'all got a lot of you problems to figure out. Fortunately, y'all are not a me problem anymore.
That was super petty, but
deuces.
They all deserve it. Like, yeah. And I agree. This is internalized misogyny, thinking that just because she's a woman, she was supposed to stay and help with the kids. Yeah.
Apparently, the gift they were really hoping for was a week-long au pair.
And speak up. Like, if we were child-free on a vacation and 2 other couples had children and they wanted to go out and do something without their kids, I would have no problem staying in with the kids one night. No problem. One night. If I'm child-free.
We may not enjoy it, but we'll do it.
I would totally do that for someone because I understand what that means to someone. But to just assume that someone's going to do that with no prior knowledge or understanding of your situation is so.
And then to be
people cannot read
silently
minds.
Pissed when they don't do it and stew on that for a week after vacation. Wow.
And then send a text. At least be a decent human being and have a conversation with your mouth, not sending words that people can misconstrue and whatever.
You know that message came through after a bottle or after a box of wine. A box. that message came through after they were sitting together where, maybe the husbands had the kids, maybe the kids were playing together or something, but they finally got through a whole box and they were like, I'm gonna message that bitch right now.
Yeah. Which means they were still talking about this woman behind her back. And the only reason they were talking about this woman behind her back is because she chose not to have kids. They are not girls, if you want to use that term. They are the opposite because they're shaming a woman for not having kids and not taking care of kids.
Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Pay for My Brother's Wedding After He Invited My Ex? So here's the situation. My 28 male younger brother, 25 male, is getting married soon, and I was excited for him until I found out he decided to invite my ex-girlfriend, 27 female, to the wedding. Now, let me give you some background. We broke up over a year ago, and it was pretty rough. She cheated on me with his best friend, and it took me months to get over that betrayal. When I found out that she was invited, I was furious and reached out to my brother to express my feelings. I told him that I would not attend if she was there. Instead of being understanding, he got defensive and accused me of ruining his big day. He insisted that he wanted her there because they've become friends since the breakup and that she's changed. I told him that if I'm not welcome, then I won't be attending, and therefore I won't be covering my share of the wedding expenses, which I had already agreed to pay before the invitation fiasco. Now my family is pulling me in every direction, saying I'm being petty and ruining my brother's wedding for no reason. They're calling me an asshole for not supporting my brother and potentially putting a financial strain on his wedding plans. Some even suggested that I should just suck it up and attend for the sake of family. I've now decided that I'm not paying for a single thing, and that if he wants to have a wedding with my ex as the guest of honor, it's on him to cover the costs. Am I the asshole for standing my ground and refusing to fund my brother's wedding under these circumstances? Okay, this is an interesting one. She cheated on him with his brother's best friend. So it's her attachment to the brother's best friend that's the reason she is going to be at the wedding, and he's befriended her too. So let's put ourselves in his shoes for a second. He knows that there's bad blood there, but now he's got this really good friend who is the girlfriend of his best friend, and he's got his brother. But his bestie and his bestie's girlfriend are not paying for a share of the wedding. I don't know how he got roped into paying for any part of this. Again, I'm guessing he's just done well and volunteered to do that. But you can unvolunteer at any time. I don't know how close it is to the wedding. Yanking money at the last second is probably an asshole move, but this is something he should have known better than to do. If he didn't deliver the news himself to you that she was going to be invited before those invitations went out, then he f***ed up. In my opinion, he f***ed up here. I think the decisions that you make, you have to look at the people you can't piss off and the people that you're depending on to do you favors and make sure you don't rock the boat with them. And there's a decorum, there's a process of respect for communicating with those people ahead of time and making sure they're going to be comfortable with things that you think might make them uncomfortable. That's something you freaking check on before you just go full send on it. Slow clap for OP. AskCon 2, you don't get to pick the guest list just because you are paying for the wedding. We have to tell mother-in-laws this all the time. We do. Here's the difference. Your brother-in-law is volunteering here. He doesn't have an obligation, and I guess parents don't have an obligation either, and it's not their wedding, but it's also their money that he has the right to pull. So he's saying, look, if you want to keep her, fine, but you can't keep both her and my money. And he feels strongly enough about this he gets to feel what he feels. His family minimizing it and saying, what did they say? I had it highlighted for a second. They said, saying I'm being petty and ruining my brother's wedding for no reason. They just don't want the boat rocked. They don't selfishly, they don't want to deal with the bullshit. And maybe that's their true opinion on this, but it matters to him. And he can't make it not matter to him. So it matters to us, and it should matter to the brother because he's depending on the wedding or on the money for it. So again, I'd say, look, whether you agree with his opinion or not, we have to accept that he is feeling this thing, and it is a deal breaker for him. And if we're expecting him to do favors, he's somebody that we have to cater to. If you don't need his favor, cool, do your thing. And it would be much better if there weren't any strings attached to it, but it's a big enough deal for him. Whether it's right or not, I feel like brother getting married is the one who screwed up here. He could have pre-communicated, discover it was going to be a big deal, and found a solution before ever fucking up. Updates. Okay, so I wanted to update everybody because things have escalated, and it's even crazier than I expected. After my last post, I thought maybe my family would come around to my way of thinking. Instead, they absolutely lost it. My brother called me crying, saying I'm ruining his happiness, and my parents have taken his side 100%. In a fit of rage, I ended up posting screenshots of our conversation in our family group chat. You know, the ones where he called me selfish and petty. Yeah, I regret that decision, but I feel like a let's air out this dirty laundry moment. My extended family saw the text, and now half of them think I'm justified, while the other half is calling me the family villain. To add fuel to the fire, my ex-girlfriend contacted me directly. She said it's unfair that I'm acting like she's some monster when I should just be mature about the situation. I told her that she would always be a reminder of my brother's betrayal and that I won't ever see her in a positive light. She then had the audacity to say my brother might reconsider his whole wedding if I'm not there. He's reconsidering not having it because he can't afford to have it. I think that's what it sounds like. Now my parents want us to have a family meeting to discuss this drama like we're on some sort of reality TV show. I told them I'm not showing up if it's just going to be him whining while my ex is basking in it all. Call me dramatic, but this whole mess has made me feel like I'm in an episode of a soap opera. So now I'm considering throwing some cash into the mix for an epic weekend getaway instead of funding his wedding. His wedding is about my ex, not him. Honestly, I feel justified in saying no. I'm still standing my ground, but part of me is genuinely worried this might tear my family apart. Edit. I'm overwhelmed by all the replies, and I appreciate them all. I'm sorry if I'm unable to reply to them all, but I read every single one. OP's comment here, just to clarify, I'm not trying to ruin my brother's happiness. It feels like everyone is more concerned about my ex's feelings than mine. I'm genuinely confused about why my life choices are being judged when his choices directly impact me. I made reservations for a cruise and will be away during all the drama. Honestly, I think it's the best way to escape this mess. Top comment here, this is not even about your life choices. This is about basic integrity and decency. 1, your ex cheated on you with your brother's best friend. There's no excuse for this, nor should there be a forgiveness for your ex or your brother's best friend. A good brother would have cut your ex and his best friend for what they did to you. The fact that he didn't is disgusting. 2, you dumped her cheating ass, which any reasonable, intelligent person would have done. 3, your brother decided to invite your ex to his wedding without even considering that you may not be comfortable with it or asking you if that would be okay. You don't matter here. It's his day. He made that clear. 4, since you don't matter, I don't see any reason for you to participate or contribute to the wedding. It's your brother's day, and he has the right to invite whoever he wants, just like you have the right to choose whether or not you want to attend the wedding or not. And I'm going to add to this, or fund the wedding or not. 5, your family is blaming you for putting a financial strain on his wedding. What the f*** is this? Since when is he entitled to your money? If your brother can't afford to get married without you sponsoring it, then maybe he's not financially competent yet to start a family. This is not your problem. 6, your brother accused you of ruining his happiness? What? This is some level 80 manipulation BS. He made a decision to invite your ex who cheated on you, then brushed you off when you expressed that you were not comfortable with that. And now that you decided not to go, he makes a shocked Pikachu face and blames you. How old is he? 12? If your family keeps bothering you for your contribution to his wedding, tell them that he is not entitled to your money nor your presence at his wedding. If your ex contacts you, tell her to go f herself and block her. OP, have a nice trip and enjoy your vacation, hopefully with your phone turned off. Here's one test, and I don't agree with the general concept of testing people, but here's one thing that would tell you real quick if it's you or your money that he's really butthurt about. Send him a message and say, hey, what if I don't attend but still fund the wedding? Just what if? And if he's like, yeah, man, I mean, I'd rather have you there, but yeah, that'd be okay. Then you know. To me, this feels like this is all about the money and it is not about the bond. And you OP are setting the gauntlet down for that. You're like, oh, hey, you don't get the money without the bond. If you want the bond and the money, here's what you have to do. And he's like, I can't do it. You're ruining my day. You're ruining my happiness. Blah. I understand him feeling that way, but he got himself in this situation with a series of choices. And you, OP, have the right to pull your money. You're right. It is his wedding. He gets to decide who to invite. And you get to decide who to gift your money to. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for refusing to pay for my stepdaughter's wedding after she told me I'm not really family? I, 48 male, have been married to my wife, Sarah, 46 female, for 15 years. She has a daughter from a previous relationship, Emily, 24 female. I met Emily when she was 8 years old and have always treated her like my own daughter. I paid for her schooling, supported her hobbies, and was there for every important milestone. Her bio father has been mostly absent and only occasionally drops in to play the fun parent role, but Emily has always idolized him, no matter how little he actually does for her. Fast forward to a couple of months ago, Emily got engaged to her longtime boyfriend, and Sarah and I were thrilled for her. Emily told us she wanted a big, beautiful wedding, and naturally, my wife and I offered to pay for it. I've been saving for years, thinking I'd one day help Emily with her wedding, as any father would. We even started discussing venues, dress shopping, and all the other exciting things. I was genuinely happy to make this day special for her. I feel like that's a very important thing to know up front, is that he feels the same way that I feel about this generally, so she must have up something hard. Last week during a family dinner, Emily casually mentioned that she wanted her real dad to walk her down the aisle. I was a little hurt, but I stayed quiet because I know how much she loves her bio dad, and I didn't want to ruin her moment. However, when she started talking more about the wedding plans, it became clear that I wasn't included in anything. She said her real family would be involved in all the important roles, her bio dad walking her down the aisle, her mom in all the pictures, and her real siblings from her father's side being part of the wedding party. Ooh. I couldn't hold my tongue anymore and asked, where do I fit into all this? I've been there for you for 16 years, supporting you in everything. Emily gave me a cold look and said, well, you're not my real dad, are you? I appreciate what you've done, but this is about my real family. Oh, yep, you done up bad enough. And how dumb is this bizzo? She's 24. Plenty old enough to know better. Plenty. And that's one thing that I'm timing out here, but that's one thing that I have to say, that as a bonus parent with bonus kids, I think we all have this, like, they'll understand someday. They'll appreciate what we've done for them more someday. Man, that's just a parent in general. Doesn't matter if you're a bonus parent or a bio parent. Doesn't matter. They'll appreciate all this someday. They'll understand someday. They'll get it. But if she's 24 and she still doesn't get it, that's a little concerning. But to idiotically be like, hey, that one tether that presents any kind of obligation you feel for providing money that you worked for to my wedding, snip. She doesn't know what she just did. She has no idea that she's destroyed the only argument she had for you paying for anything. I was stunned. My wife didn't say a word, and I just sat there, feeling like I'd been kicked in the gut. After dinner, I told Sarah that I wouldn't be paying for the wedding if I wasn't considered real family. Emily called me selfish and accused me of trying to buy her love by paying for the wedding. She says it was her day and that I should respect her wishes. Now Sarah is begging me to reconsider because Emily is young and didn't mean it, and we've already committed to paying for it. I love Emily, but I feel like I've been treated like an ATM rather than a father figure. Am I the astronaut for refusing to pay for a wedding where I'm not even considered part of the family? No. Ooh, but comments point out an interesting thought here. If this is a joint account, you better lock that shit down ASAP. Because your wife, Sarah, Emily's mom, might feel differently enough to go ahead and do something shady. And also, I don't know if you guys have separate finances or blended. I don't know what your dynamic is there. The way you've presented this to us to this point makes it seem like you independently have been putting money aside that you have earned for this. Not as a joint effort between you, because that makes it a different thing. This is something that you took, you of your own accord, were setting money aside for. That's the way it was presented to us. So that's the way we're using it here. You have every right to, like we've read before, to not gift your money to somebody when situations change. Yes, it's more of an asshole move doing it closer to the wedding. Yes, it's going to cause damage. Damage is apparently the theme of the day. She did plenty of damage. She's not afraid of damage. And she snipped the one string that provided any kind of obligation that you felt. She's like, it's not there. It doesn't exist. You're like, well, me then. Okay. Then neither does this. Oh, and sure, she's going to backtrack now. Let it simmer. Right now, she's pissed, right? Right now, she's pissed. And she's just going to be hurling insults because she doesn't understand what she's done. And that's what it's fight or flight or talk shit. She's going to talk shit because she doesn't understand what she's done. She doesn't understand that she's been a delusional, entitled, little bizzo bride. Ava was appalled by this story. That tells you enough. Like, yes, a teenage girl who is a bonus kid is appalled by this behavior. This is just a shit human being here. Like Emily, as your wedding gift, we give you a lifetime exclusion from the DFHB club. You're shit. You need to work on that. Like, not being shit. That would be good. Let me relate this. We did another story way back when, and it was a bonus mom who ended up paying for everything. And that might have been after her husband had even passed. I can't remember, but it was bonus mom who ended up paying for everything, went to the wedding, sat there, completely ignored the whole time. Not thanked, not even acknowledged, and then afterward was like, I'm done with it. But went through with paying for it. So OP, if you went through with it, you were going to be in the exact same boat. You're going to be sitting there watching all the money that you had gifted be spent to create this gorgeous exposition that openly spat in your face and pretended like you didn't existed. Meanwhile, real dad, who shows up only to play the fun dad, he's not going to turn down this role. Shit, no. She's setting it up for him to strut down the aisle like he created all this for her. Look, I understand that like she's always going to want and need her father's love and attention, and maybe craving that overrode her understanding for what her bonus dad has done for her, but she was willing to sacrifice the relationship she had with her bonus dad to give her real dad this false sense of accomplishment. Yeah, as a bonus parent, I would be gutted too. That wasn't enough though. He was going to eat that shit. He was going to let it go whenever she kept talking and making references to real family that definitely didn't exclude him. That's just salt in the wound. So he eventually spoke up because it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough that real dad was going to do the fun role and walk her down the aisle. He's like, okay, whatever. She kept going and kicking him in the nuts over and over and over again, to the point where he eventually had to speak up. He was going to eat a lot of shit, but she shoveled too much shit onto his plate. Okay. Katie Thunder gave me a comment to read here. From Turner AC, a stepdad should show up with a stack of Monopoly money since none of it's real. Ooh, I like it. If this was me and she re-invites him, I wouldn't pay and wouldn't attend. I don't care if the bio dad's there. You can have bio dad there without it being disrespectful to bonus dad. He wasn't going to say shit about him walking her down the aisle. He was still going to be there as long as he got to be part of the family. He was even excluded from the family. That's the problem. I think what she's doing is fueled by her need for bio dad's love and attention. But she's letting it destroy way more than it needs to. Unless she was convinced to exclude him by bio dad. And that's a way different story. Am I the astronaut for not watching my newborn niece for 2 weeks while her parents visit Italy? My brother Kevin's wife, Casey, just had a baby. Now they're badgering the family because they have a 2-week vacation planned to Italy in 4 months. Hold up. My brother Kevin's wife, Casey, just had a baby. Now they're badgering the family because they have a 2-week vacation planned to Italy in 4 months. Why the would you plan a trip to Italy 4 months after having a baby? You've known about the baby for at least 9 months. What? I explained to my brother that a baby doesn't just magically appear. I feel like they had plenty of time to either reschedule or cancel this trip. Also, 2 weeks is a very long time to leave a baby. I'm not watching the baby, even in shifts between our parents or Casey's parents. And my mom said that she's also not watching a baby for 2 weeks straight. And I feel like Casey's family said the same thing. My brother acts like his wife deserves this vacation because she just had a baby. And all she looked forward to during the pregnancy was her trip to Italy. I told my brother that his wife's priorities seem up. So I suggest you guys drop the baby in one of those safe haven drop boxes at the fire station because Casey is going to be in for a lifetime of disappointment because of her choices. My brother called me an asshole. I asked him why the did he have a baby in the first place if they didn't want it? Am I the astronaut? No, you're not the astronaut. This poor kid. All she looked forward to the entire pregnancy was her trip to Italy? Well, okay. That makes you really shitty. Like ASCOM 1, you're the worst of the worst. What? And now they've had the baby and they're like, oh, we got to find a sitter because now we had the baby. Being willing to is one thing. It being the only thing you're looking forward to is a whole nother thing. This is not a PPD conversation because this was premeditated. They've had this scheduled. This was the only thing that she was looking forward to through her pregnancy. And maybe like rewarding yourself for doing something really big and scary. Like, I understand that. It can't be something that harms the thing that is really big and scary that you're taking on, like a baby. You can't neglect your duty as a parent to reward yourself for becoming a parent. There's nothing to reward yourself for if you just ignore the duties. All kinds of duties. No, she stepped right in the duties. And I'm talking about you're going to have the diaper duties and your duties just generally as a parent. What are you rewarding yourself for? For the first day of being a parent to be the worst, shittiest parent there ever was? Cool. I don't think they give trips to Italy for that. I think they give trips to other places for that. I think y'all are about to do some really stupid shit that's going to land you in all kinds of hot water. And the safe box that he's talking about at fire stations, it's a real thing. We have them here. I just recently learned and was shocked. But I get it. I get it. There's a need for that. And this might be the right time for them to do such a thing. As painful as that is to even imagine. Why? No, this is your baby. You guys created this baby. You guys had this baby. Now you will take care of this baby until it's a toddler and then until it's a young adolescent. And then even when it's an adult, this is going to be your baby. You cannot run. And if you do, as many parents do, you're shit. So why would that be your goal right now? Why would the goal during your pregnancy to be a shitty parent? I don't understand. Dr. Sweets, I remember there was a time the fire station had to tell parents to stop dropping off their teens. They're like, we don't make safe boxes that big. You can't drop your teenagers off. Man, it's terrible for the kid because this kid is immediately born just unwanted. And if this behavior continues, this child is going to have all kinds of issues. Like, literally no one wants me because symbolically, grandma won't take me in because she refuses to bail out my mom and dad who clearly don't want me. Like, there's the amount of damage they're doing right now to this child is unacceptable. I just don't understand. I don't understand any of this. How could they end up deciding that this is what they wanted to do, how they still believe it, how they're carrying it out? I don't understand what is going on in their heads. I don't understand how she would be like, yes, this is going to be my reward. But OP Of course, no, you're not the asshole for not watching your newborn niece for 2 weeks while her parents visit Italy. On principle, standing this ground and saying, hell no, you are going to watch your own baby instead of going to Italy. You idiots. 100% agree with that. Of course, in the back of my mind, I'm like, if nobody says yes and they end up just, I don't know. I worry about the kid. Of course, I worry about the kid. It's the only person who, in this story, who can't make their own decisions. But they're garbage. Your brother, for going along with this, he arranged this for her because he said she was looking forward to this. I don't know if he has just adapted the thinking here and he thinks this is also the right thing, or he just knows if he doesn't give her a trip to Italy, his life is going to be hell. And I'm kind of leaning in that direction. But her needing this is the red flag. Like there needs to be therapy here, because where she's at right now is not just not okay, it's unsafe. It is unsafe. It's concerning. Dr. Sweets, I mean, I don't have kids, but couldn't they wait till the baby was 1 and plan a family trip? That's true. Yeah. And he was how old? Tipsy Thunder took her 2-month-old to Disney. It's not hard. You're a parent now. Get used to it. Used to toting that kid everywhere. Everywhere. Even when you're just running into Target for 2 minutes to grab something, you bring the kid with you. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story. This one from AITA. H is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Calling My Sister a Lazy Leech After She Demanded That I Babysit Her Kids Every Single Weekend? So here's the deal. I, 28 female, have a full-time job that requires me to work long hours, plus I have my own life and social commitments. My sister, 30 female, has 3 kids, ages 6, 4, and 2, who are adorable, but let's be real, a handful. Ever since she had the 3rd kid, she's concluded that I should step up and be her personal babysitter every weekend so she can have a break and go out with her friends. Now, I love my niece and nephews, but I shouldn't have to sacrifice my entire weekend just because she can't manage her own parenting responsibilities. Last week, after yet another weekend spent babysitting while she was out partying, I finally snapped. Hold up. Why did you do it? OP? You doing it is enabling this behavior. Why? This is not how this story is supposed to go. The story is supposed to go, yeah, she keeps bugging me about it. But no, you said last week, after yet another weekend spent babysitting while she was out partying, caved? I told her that I felt like she was a lazy leech for relying on me to do her parenting for her and that she needs to find a proper solution rather than just dumping her kids on me. She flipped out and called me selfish and said that I clearly don't care about family. Oh. She's going with that one. I told her she was being entitled and that I have a right to my own time too. Now she's gone and told the whole family that I'm the jerk and everyone keeps texting me saying I should help her out more. Am I the astronaut for wanting to have my own life instead of playing second mom to her kids every weekend? Edit, Dad is a deadbeat alcoholic, so he's not a viable option for the kids. There is an update, but before we get into that, so I have several problems with this. None of it is surprising at all, but the fact that you went ahead and did it instead of standing up for yourself and said, no, this is bullshit. Hire a babysitter. That's what she's wanting. She's wanting a babysitter. But also, how is she out all weekend? It's not like she goes out one Friday night from 7 to midnight. She's out all weekend? That's problematic too. But she cannot expect you to sacrifice your social life so that she can have hers. That's not how this works. There are these things called babysitters, and you can pay them to watch your kid. If she wants to go that route, sure. I know the other family members are not willing to do what you're doing because they said that you're the jerk and you should help her out more. You have to understand that they said that because they don't want to have to do it. If not one of these was willing to step up and take a shift for you, they don't believe the words that they're telling you. They're just covering their own ass, making sure this problem doesn't roll to their doorstep. And it is no deeper than that. It ain't that deep. But you did it in the first place. And that's why we're here right now. That's why we're having this discussion, because you've enabled this behavior by allowing it to happen once. Let's dive into the update. Update! So apparently my sister went full drama queen and has turned our family into a soap opera over this. I guess being called out for her entitlement really struck a nerve. Not only did she tell my parents that I'm a horrible aunt, but now she's trying to get my extended family involved. She's texting cousins and relatives, playing the victim card like it's a championship sport, and saying that I am abandoning my responsibilities. Well, the projection is strong tonight. But here's the kicker. She somehow managed to scrape together the cash to hire a babysitter for one night last weekend. Apparently, she's capable of arranging childcare when it's something she wants to do, like going out partying with her friends. Yet I'm still the bad guy for wanting to live my own life. Honestly, I can't even with this double standard. So now instead of standing up for myself, I have to defend my right to enjoy my weekends without being guilt-tripped by the family. They seem to think that I'm just supposed to fall in line and prioritize her lifestyle over my own. Yeah, because they don't want to have to. See this? Just to clarify, I completely support a parent's need for a break. I've offered to babysit occasionally. But when it comes to a required duty every weekend, nah. I told my sister she needs to find a real solution instead of relying on me as her free childcare service. So are the family members still texting to me about how I should help her out more. Understand this. I have a life too, and I'm not about to sacrifice it because she feels entitled to mine. Still, OP, throughout this whole damn thing, you're never once like, hey, Aunt Judy, are you going to jump in and help watch the kids? If not, shut the up. Still, you're letting yourself get roped into actually doing it. Is because you guys live together and she just walks out the door? Then you're like, well, I guess I'm staying with the kids, because I see that happening. I feel like you guys probably live together, and that's why she's so comfortable just being like, all right, it's your shift now. She's turned you into like a totem partner. She's given you the responsibilities of the other parent and has just accepted in her mind that this is how this works. You guys live together. They're your kids too. You got to take care of your kids too. I'm not going to do it all. She's playing house with you and giving you responsibilities that you didn't agree to. But the problem is you agreed to them by allowing yourself to be given them. You did it. You're like, oh, okay. And she's like, oh, cool, bet. Here's more responsibilities. And now you're fed up. And that's, of course, she's got a great deal right now. She's got a free sitter. Of course, she's going to fight this. I don't know, how much does a sitter cost for 5 hours for a Friday night? So, chat, what's like your most recent rates for a sitter? What are they? Is it like $20 an hour? Is that what it is? 15, 12? I don't know. $100 for a night, 150 for a night. Okay. So 60. Okay, let's say it's $100. The amount of time this lady likes to be out, let's say safely $100 for a night. Yeah. If she's out both nights for the weekend, that's $200. She's willing to fight for it because it's an $800 per month problem. Of course she's willing to fight for it. Of course she's willing to spread disinformation and pit the army against you and ask them. They wouldn't have text you without her asking them, like, could you please just like message her and let her know that she should be doing this? She created a peer pressure army to prevent herself from having to pay $800 a month, which is what she would have to do if she kept doing this without abusing you. Yeah, she's got a sweet deal, of course. And of course, everybody else is like, you need to step up more, because they don't want to have to step up at all. I want to tell you to move out. I want to tell you to not live with her, because that breaks the ease of this situation starting and repeating. See what part? They don't. Candy Thunder's like, I didn't see that part. It doesn't say it. That's the vibe I got. I got the vibe that they live together, because how else would you be so easily roped into watching so many kids unless they were just like, okay, I'm leaving, bye. I get that vibe. And if you're letting yourself get steamrolled like this, you have to remove the things that make it easy for you to get steamrolled. Don't live with her if you do. If you don't go over there on the nights where you know she's going to try to rope you into bullshit. If you know she's calling because she's going to ask you to watch the kids or tell you it's your night to watch the kids because asking doesn't seem like her style, don't pick up. If she messages you and asks that question, ignore it. You have to remove the things that make it easy for you to be taken advantage of. Okay, so this is OP's response. Okay, OP's responding to a comment here saying, I'm not receiving any payment from her. It's difficult to reach her while she's away, probably because she's drunk or worse. She leaves the kids in front of my door and drives off. knowing that I'm unable to say no. If she waited for me to open the door for them, I would be able to say no. Okay, so they don't live together. She's dumping them on her doorstep and leaving. Don't be home. And make sure it's really apparent that you're not home. Or like Candy Thunder said, call the police. This is a CPS problem. That's child abandonment. If you didn't agree to watch them and she dumps them at your door, she's abandoning them. Call the police and file a report. She'll never do it again. That's a boundary. That's a consequence to doing something that you said you would not do. You have to create boundaries here. And you have to understand that the whole army of people messaging you is just fodder. It's noise. It's noise to distract you from the real problem. And it is intentional. So sad for it is absolutely sad for these kids. Another situation where kids who have parents that want nothing more than to be rid of them. Like that's the life they're in. And now they're going to end up like this is what they're learning. They're learning right now that this is what parenting is. This is what a mom's supposed to be. This is what family is supposed to be. This is what they're learning. Title of this story is, Am I the Astronaut for Believing My Wife When She Said She Was Fine With Anything? I will eat almost any food. The only food I actively loathe is green beans. I came home yesterday and my wife had been busy with her mom who was visiting from out of town all day and hadn't had time to cook. She had just gotten home from dropping her mom off at her uncle's house. I was hungry and didn't feel like waiting, so I offered to buy takeout. I asked my wife specifically what she wanted to eat. She said she'd eat whatever, so I ordered Mexican. She got all pissy that I didn't give her options. The thing is, I know that if I give her options, we'll spend an hour deciding what she wants to eat. If she didn't want me to get Mexican food, then she should have chosen. I will eat anything. Oh, wait, that's it. Am I the astronaut for believing my wife when she said she was fine with anything? Wait, here's a top comment. NTA, and in the future, you should probably something more like, you pick the place and I'll tell you what I want. If she's not actually fine with whatever. Yeah, but she chose this, right? If you, Candy Thunder, said whatever, that's true. I wouldn't. Because I know. I can't. I mean, part of this is like the COVID taste bud ramifications still a daily thing. So the palate options are limited here. But what say you?
I mean, she said, I'll eat anything. It's like, pick whatever you want. And he took her at what she said. And it's like what I said earlier. If you want somebody to know like what you're feeling, then speak it so that they understand. And I found that this works best, especially in a marriage, because he can't read my mind. And that leads to stuff like this.
I mean, sometimes I can.
Yeah. When I give you a look,
if your face is doing the thing. And that's actually something we covered in like my first therapy session too, was you have to finish the sentence. If you leave blanks, like she said, I'm fine with anything. There's a lot of blank space in that sentence where he has to insert like, okay, this is all okay. Mexican, yep. She said fine, that's anything. Yeah. Double check it. So he's having to complete the sentence for her, and she's mad about it, but she created this chaos. So always finish the sentence so that whoever is taking this on understands what's going on here. I was scrolled back up on the story because I wanted to see how long they had been together. He doesn't tell us because this is something where I feel like at this point in our marriage, I would know.
Who loathes the green beans?
Someone afraid of giants.
I love a good green bean. I'm not gonna lie. I really like green beans, especially French style green beans.
The Jolly Green Giant is like the only thing I could think of.
And who wouldn't? I mean, yeah, get me some chips and queso and I'm good to go. But I mean, if I don't like a food, like, and I tell you to get anything, there's a chance that you're going to get something I don't like. So just say, but then he said, if I tell her that, she's going to take 30 minutes deciding what she wants to eat. And I feel that because sometimes,
sometimes you're hangry.
But Ava is the queen of that. She's like, just let me look at the menu. And I'm like, just pick.
We're not ordering food for tomorrow. We're ordering food for now. Yeah, I understand. I think this is one of those things that you just learned. And some pro tip for you here, hubby. Get at least a top 3, top 5 list in your head of safe choices she's going to like. Because when it comes to like, I don't know, like those nights where you're like, what do you want? I don't know. What do you want? I don't know. the safe choice list is going to be deployed. That is not the time to experiment or test boundaries. You know what I mean? I feel like this is an early marriage. I feel like this is something that would happen early in a marriage. And now you know, and now you're going to get the top 3 or top 5 safe choice list, and you're going to deploy that next time to stay out of trouble.
Because we never mess up 10 years into our marriage.
No, we got this shit on lockdown. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.